T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 6.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Finalizing 3D Paint. Oh, 1, 2, very useful there. Oh, brilliant. Right.
Hello, hello, hello.
Well, welcome back to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. Right, what is causing that feedback then?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back.
Never mind. Right, that's fine. Hello and welcome back to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint again. Today we are taking a look at the Sidewinder X1, the X2 even, Sidewinder X2, the spiritual successor to the X1. So we've been here before with the X1. We've done reviews of that. It's a great machine. Can artillery keep up the pace? Let's find out. But first of all, let's bring in my partners in crime. So today we've got Mike from us. And we've also got Mr. Fenton as well. Evening. Hello, Mr. Fenton. Oh. So, legal bit out of the way first. Artillery sent us this machine for free. However, the opinions and expressions that are expressed throughout this entire piece are our own and not Artillery's. They didn't pay for a good review, and they certainly haven't. No money's changed hands because no one seems to give you money these days, and it's really hurtful. So with that in mind, let's open the box. So, Carl, have you had a chance to play with an X1 before?
No.
No?
No, but every time you talk about it, I've been kind of interested in looking at it. So I've seen it, read the reviews. It looks really solid, and to be honest, it's got quite a good reputation, you know, with everyone.
Well, my quarter of a Sidewinder recently died. But before it recently died, it printed really well. Mine's like a Frankenstein. I think the only bit that's original on mine is the tool head and the frame.
Yeah,
but it's like
it, to be fair.
Well, you've got two, haven't you, James?
I've got two. One of them is an absolute workhorse. The other one is also very good, but the two don't work well together. So, one of my Sidewinders is incredibly dimensionally accurate, and it is bang on. It prints everything really nicely
every time.
Every time. But the other one, so I'm using identical print settings for both. Identical print settings, and neither
one of them are upgraded. They're identical.
Yeah. And bear in mind, I've changed the bed multiple times on both, and I've changed the tool head multiple times on both. So they are, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing different about the two machines at all. They're both running the same board, same firmware, same stepper drivers, everything. They're both B4s, all of that stuff. But the second one, if you print like a key and like a hole that two parts are supposed to go together. You have to print, well, it doesn't matter which way you print it, you have to print all of it on one or the other machine because the key and the hole don't match up with the two machines. It's really frustrating. Right, so let's just take a quick look at what we've got here. We've got the installation manual, which we will not read. Then we've got the spool holder, which has also got the filament sensor on it as well. I don't really use these. I fit one normally so that I can use the filament sensor, but generally speaking, I don't use these. I don't think that putting the filament on top of the printer is a particularly good idea. So I don't. I actually have a rail above my printers, and because these are direct drive, it just pulls directly off that rail straight into my machine. It works brilliantly. What else have we got here? So we have the obligatory artillery vanity bag. So we've got that's got to be the spool holder thingies. So they go into the spool holder. They're rollers for the spool holder. We've got a spare ribbon cable. We've got a little bag of some little screws and a bigger bag with some knot screws. You get a spare nozzle. You get one of the artillery branded USB drives. You get your pointless USB cable in case you ever put your printer more than 3 inches away from your machine. And you also get a spanner. Cool. Right. Let's pull out the first part. So, first most obvious change to the X2, and that is this bit of plastic up the top. So they have gone for a molded plastic X-beam rather than the one that they used to have, which was obviously just a standard aluminium extrusion. I mean, it feels fairly rigid, but like, other than that, what can you really say about it? Take that little bit of tape off. A couple other things to go through on this then. So a couple of obvious changes here. You've got some plastic end caps, again, injection molded on there. And all of the, let me just go to, here we go, right. So the tool head. So previously, the X1 tool head and the Genius tool head were different. The X2 tool head and the Genius Pro tool head are now exactly the same. And they've also gone through and solved one of the major problems, which was these ribbon cables now have clamps on them that hold the ribbon cable in, and they give it a much more, it's much more rigid. You can't pull that out. So that's really nice. Bear me 1 second whilst I grab some little clippers so that we can free this tool head. That there, and that there. So if we go around the back, you can see a couple of things. So we still have that Z synchronization belt. Some people really don't like these. They have a real problem with Z synchronization belts because their point is that you should be, like, your Zs should be synchronized anyway, but you know, this in theory kind of helps. I don't know if I've ever had a dual Z machine where my Zs have gotten out of step with each other. Hi, Bim. So interestingly, this here is actually, so these brace pieces here that go over the Z-axis, they're actually cast metal. I thought they were. It does indeed come with a filament runout sensor, Matt. It sits on the spool holder just there.
Cables at the top of the axis.
Yeah, so this goes in, and then the cable's just here for the filament runout sensor. So, right, let's put that down here for a moment. Oh, and worth noting as well that we also now have a bed leveling sensor, which we did not have before. The one thing that I really wanted to see that they didn't do was they didn't put an all-metal idler arm on the extruder. I would really have liked to have seen that, because if you
all of ours.
Yeah, we've broken all of ours. Every single one is broken, and we've put a metal one on. So that's a little bit of a shame. But they've certainly made some advancements. So you get your regular plug top. Is that all that's in there? That's all that's in there. So I've tried to I watched the initial artillery one. What's the battle of the all-metal idler? So literally, Ben, all it is that the plastic one has a tendency to snap if you're a little bit rough-handed with it. So you pull the idler arm back to release the tension so you can change the filament. If you're in a rush, you might have a tendency to over-crank that, and it just snaps. It's annoying. It happens. You can buy them on Amazon, and they are cheap. Like, they are a few quid. So the fact that it's not included, all right. Right. Okay. So we have the base. So the base does not. Is there anything else in there? No. Well, that fell on something important. Right. So the first thing that we want to take a look at. Hold on. Hold the phone. So this is the best upgrade, and I'm so happy that they did this. So so there was a massive issue with the X1 beds, which is that so the bed cable was on the other side, and that went into the back of the machine. There was no cable strain relief, and my God, I went through. I think I've got 2 sidewinders, and I've had, I think, 5 beds, which is a lot, if I'm honest. They've kept the glass. I don't know that I've ever really had any specific issue with the glass. I know that there's a lot of people who changed over to like a metal bed, and they changed to like a wham bam sheet. Carl, what's on the end of 7? Is it
glass? Same.
Oh, it is glass still.
Yeah, all my other printers have got glass apart from my CR10 Smart. I put a PEI sheet on it.
Right.
And to be honest, there's not much difference. It all depends what finish you want as well, doesn't it, on the bottom?
Yeah. So I mean, I do like a removable bed, but if I had to, I don't really know if I could justify the reason why. Because I don't think I ever really have that much of an issue getting my prints off my beds anyway.
The Sidewinder, once it cools down for 5 minutes, always just flicks clean off.
Yeah, it does. Right. Feel that one. Other than that, the base doesn't look fantastically different, if I'm willfully honest. It looks really, really similar to how it did before. I think these sensors look a little different, but they might just look a little chunkier than they did before. Everything else, though, is pretty much the same, I would have said. You've still got your SD card slot and your USB slot. It's worth noting they've now put a new board in here. So another massively irritating thing about the X1 is if you ever want to flash the firmware, you actually have to unplug the screen. It uses an MKS Gen L version 1 board, and like it is a pain. And like, I know that you shouldn't technically have to flash the firmware, but come on, like, people do. And to make it that difficult was a real arse ache. This one, don't have to worry about that. So let's start by getting this married up. This should be, pull the bed forwards. That makes more sense. So this should be pretty easy. Oh, that's good. So they've done like, so okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this side. Hold on. So just here, you don't plug the cable in anymore. The cable is on a push connector on the bottom of the A-frame. So when you fit the A-frame together, it pushes the cable in.
That's good.
So you don't have to worry about whether or not this is connected or pushed in all the way, because it's now, once you've screwed this in place, it can't move. So pop that on its side. And then use my little screwdriver set. Quietly hoping that that's the right. No, that's not the right screwdriver size.
What's at the back on there, James? In the
This.
middle at the back. Yep.
That's the Z stepper.
Ah.
See, this was the other issue, right? So this Z-stepper has a little label over it, and it's basically a like warranty void sticker. But that means that you can't. That means that you literally can't preserve the firmware, and can't preserve the warranty and flash the firmware, because on the X1 you had to open it up to unplug the screen. So there was no way that you could flash the firmware without voiding the warranty. It was a really
that's a bit poor, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like you ask yourself whether or not it was actually deliberate to stop people messing with it. Do you know what I mean? But this is a hobby of tinkerers. So like literally making your machine hard to change really doesn't, like, that just doesn't sit well with me at all.
Especially when you've got the community, like you said, that has a lot of input.
Yeah. And I mean, artillery, I've required things for my machines before, and the artillery service, I can't fault them, to be honest with you. They've done a really good job. They've always been pretty fair with me, I would say.
And the thing is, sometimes you do get a problem with a printer, and you need to undo it just to check that connections are.
Yeah.
Connections.
Well, I mean, take when I got that Focus, right?
Yeah.
Like I needed to open it up to see whether or not something had come loose in transit or something, as to why it wouldn't print properly. And to know that doing that voids my warranty, it makes it feel like they're trying to sort of build in a get out of jail free card for themselves. Do you know what I mean? Because then they could say, well, the only reason why it doesn't work is because you opened it. And you go, well, that isn't true. The only reason I opened it is because it didn't work.
Yeah. The boxes get battered, don't they, now as well?
Yeah. So interestingly, this cable here, or this connector here, doesn't go to anything. This is a legacy connector that's left over from the X1, which makes me feel like they're reusing. No, they can't be reusing X1 bases because that channel, the gap was never in there.
No.
Weird, but they haven't included. For something. So this used to be where the Z-stop went in. That was the Z-stop.
Might be for you to charge your phone on it.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
You'd be surprised.
Right. Okay. I suppose I better fit the spool holder, hadn't I? Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty easy, actually.
So that stepper motor on the Z, is it? Did you say it's an aluminium cover on it?
Yes. These parts are aluminium, and these parts are injection molded.
Yeah, because when I watched it the other day, I was a bit concerned if it was plastic, with the heat for moving the hot end and that about.
No, it's definitely metal. Right, so, well, this is kind of clever, and I guess kind of justifies why they've gone with a plastic cover to give themselves a little bit more flexibility, I guess. So basically, the way it appears to work anyway, is there's little slot. Oh, hold on. Here we go. There's little slots in the top here, and you can move these left and right, and then there's just a little thumb screw to tighten them up. And that would let you, or I would have thought that would have let you, sort of put different size spools on there. So that must be what these screws are for. That makes perfect sense. Oh, they've gone everywhere.
You can't have a build about dropping your screws.
Well, he couldn't drop the ones for the frame because they was already in.
Yeah, they were pre-installed. Yeah, I couldn't mess those ones up. Goes in there. And then this goes in there. So I'll not lie, I like the design of this so far. Like, it's nice. It's ticking a lot of boxes. It's pretty well thought out, I think. You know, they seem to have put at least a little bit of effort into the overall design.
Well, the Hornet did quite well, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the V. Don't be wrong. I mean, the X1 is a very popular machine still. It's still seen as a real alternative to a CR10, and I think it is a real alternative to a CR10. To be honest, I think that for a lot of reasons, I think that this works a lot better than a CR10 does. Just trying to figure out. So that must go like that. So then the insinuation is that okay, cool. Right. Let's fire her up. I'm going to use my kettle cord because it's longer. We have life, a very familiar looking UI. And let's see, I guess, whether or not we can home. That homes quickly for a, hold on. So let me just do that again. In fact, let's just move it up a little bit so you can see how quickly that...
That moves quite quickly anyway.
It moves quite quickly, but when you go to home, right? So left and Z. Look how quickly this Z goes down for an ABL.
Oh, that's quick.
Quite quick.
Like that is quick for an ABL system.
I'd be interested to see how long that ribbon lasts.
Which one? What, the bed ribbon or the
side
ribbon?
Yeah, to the hot end.
So I mean, I don't know that I've ever worn out any of mine. The issue the community always had with them was right here, because there was no strain relief and there was no way to clip it in. Any tug on this just pulled the cable out, which threw a bed temp error, or threw a min temp error or whatever. So, see, what's interesting is the leveling system is still the same as before, I think, or it looks the same. So that goes like that.
That's quick.
I don't really understand how that levels the bed. All right, fine. We'll get the thing out.
I want to see if it says anything about that wire that was previously for the end stop. If it says anything about it, because I can't believe they've just left that hanging out and it's just completely unnecessary.
Yeah, there's got to be some function for it.
It must have a function, otherwise that's...
Oh, okay. So this is still saying that you still level with a bit of paper. So it's not mesh leveling. Oh, hold on. Heat up the bed to 70 and 240. All right, let's follow the instructions and see what it does. I'm not quite sure we need to go to 240 on the high end. That seems a bit extreme. All right. Slide a piece of paper between the nozzle and the build plate. Go to tools level. Move the hot into all four corners and then turn the leveling knobs. Oh, okay. Right. Fair enough. So what you do first of all is you make sure that the bed is roughly level. And then there is an auto bed leveling thing to go through and actually create a mesh. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I've got on my CR10 Smart. I have to do AUX level piece of paper.
Yeah.
And then I can do the bed leveling that way. But in fairness, it doesn't actually tell you in the instructions to do that. So.
I mean, to be fair, the instructions here are really clear. Right. Well, that is heated up both the bed and the hot end in that time, so that's not too bad. Right, so we go to first. So quick for a bed leveling sensor. It makes it feel really antsy. Yeah. So
I don't know what PSU has it got on there. Is it a Meanwell one?
it is not.
The X1 wasn't
it? It was never a Meanwell on the X1. There's not actually that many machines that there's not really that many machines that that have Meanwell power supplies. Sort of. Well, I say that sort of. These types of machines, I suppose, that actually have Meanwell power supplies. I think it was Creality did it for a while, but I don't even think it's Meanwells on the. I don't think it's a Meanwell on the Ender 7, is it, Carl?
Not from what I can tell.
Right. So now that you've gone around and done that, you go into more, and then you click Auto Level, and it will then go through and do an auto leveling procedure. All right, so that's it going around building its mesh. Today, I will be using eSun filament. Why are you using eSun filament, James?
because it was the box at the top.
Because it's all I have. Paul Lawson, I stopped using the paper method since my print started going nuts on the first layer.
Did you take the paper off?
Through the filament sensor, like, oh, that's fiddly there, that I want it to be. How are you ready to do that? Oh, that was an arse ache. All right. All right, moves fairly well. Use feeler gauges now. Oh, okay, fair enough. Only printer I've seen advertised with a Meanwell power supply is the ET5 Pro. Yeah, I mean, oh, hold on. Save EEPROM. Cool. Okay, well, in theory, that's now level. A little bit of resistance on that, but not too bad. Yep, filament comes out. That's a good start. Ah, it's very hot.
What's the speed meant to be?
What's the
like
speed?
Yeah, the fastest speed. Was it 100
Now
millimeters a
you're
second?
asking. Hold on. So the speed is the build speed is between 60 and 150. So I'm going to be honest and say that functionally this isn't any different than a stock S1, except for the fact that it's got auto bed level and a few upgrades on the bed and things like that. I print pretty comfortably on my Sidewinder at 65. I think if you start pushing it more than that, you're going to start to sacrifice quality.
Yeah.
So hold on, file, USB. No files on the system. Let's plug this into here and find out if we do have any files on the system. No. Okay. So we don't have a sample print on here, which is fine. I mean, what does a sample print really do for you anyway, other than let you know that that your prints could look better than whatever your profile's set at? So I am looking, and I'm telling you now, in their instructions, there is nothing around. Oh, well, that's very rude. So it specifically says in the instructions, when you want to set it up in Cura, you set it up as an X1, you name it an X2, and then you change the G code to the start and end G code that's on the memory card. Well, there isn't a memory card. There's only a USB stick, and on that USB stick, there is only this manual, and this manual does not contain the start and end G code. So that's annoying.
Which you're going to need because it's for the probe.
Yes, I am. Okay. Give me 1 second. Let's see if we can't find it somewhere. Nope.
Is it in the instructions?
There aren't any. Well, the point is,
No,
is that the instructions are just the PDF, and
No,
the all that's on the SD, all that's on the USB drive is this instruction manual, but the instruction manual is in a PDF format. And I mean, to be fair, they've also got it in German. It just the G code also isn't in German. So, okay, cool. Probably printed it out for you to copy and paste. Yeah, but they haven't. It's not on the SD card, or it's not on the USB drive. Okay, so let me think. If we go to I think about the Wagster mod that was on the X1 for the BL Touch, I would bet. So for those who aren't aware, there is a chap who did the he did a modification for the X1 that allowed you to fit a BL Touch to it. So one would assume that inside of that modification, there must be.
Right, I found a Google Drive with the contents for the USB, so I will try and put it over here. Yeah.
Jesus, that's quick.
Cole's Google foo is on point.
Yeah, apparently so.
Right. Private chat.
You all right, Makers Hub?
I've sent you the link for it. It's got
Perfect. Thank you very much.
all the bits at the bottom for it.
Right, and then we will add a printer, artillery, Sidewinder X2. Yeah, and then all we need to do is oh Jesus, no wonder they didn't put all this on the SD card. It's giant. Enough to drive a man to drink. So what have you got on the what have you got on the end of 7 at the moment then?
It's just finished. It's called a God of War, I believe. It's just sat there now.
Okay.
To pop off the glass.
I thought it was the attack rabbit at the Holy Grail.
Well, it could be that one, and that's a dead one.
So what do you reckon caused that? Sorry.
I think it's called me being a bit of a stupid idiot and not leveling
That's
properly.
That's like the old Tommy Cooper joke. Of, what's that?
Yeah.
Dead one of them.
Yeah, I didn't level properly. I tried to do it by my eyes, and obviously I wear glasses. And
They're supposed to be better.
Once I actually did it properly, it was easy enough to do, but the bit at the front's a bit of a nuisance, really. But
Well, it's interesting you should say that, Carl, because I'm just opening up that file that was on that Google Drive, and that also doesn't contain. I don't think that contains it either.
so you just got a mass download of nothing.
Well, it's got a testing model Camber G code, but that's slicer. And the hold on, just see if I can open that up. I don't think I can. Maybe.
Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Diesel changed their name.
To what?
Clio Mods.
I was going to say Mrs. and Mr. Diesel.
G92. So I'm just trying to figure out what in there is the right, what in there is the start commands, and I think it's all of those. Okay. Well, that was as much fun as I expected it to be, I suppose. Basically, there's a cube that you can print, and I am, well, effectively, I'm ripping the start and end G code out of the actual cube that you can print, because I can't think of any other way to set any of that. So I guess we're about to find out if that's going to work.
Well, they know you're famous, don't they now? So, you problem solve and.
Right.
Yeah, we might want to just shoot them a message and say, the G code that you put on the USB, you may actually want to
include it.
Yeah. Instead of just letting you know that you need it.
This super important bit of G code.
Yeah, you really need that.
We're not going to give it to you, but you do really need it. So just. All right, let's see what that does. Good Lord. Their standard profile prints at 80 on the bed.
Seems a little unnecessary.
It feels a bit much, doesn't it? Or is that just what it does? Hold on. Oh no, it's doing that for the homing process. Okay, we'll be changing that then. What fun. It's a regular USB. It is indeed a regular USB.
So in theory, you would be printing out if it had all the information and on with your test printer.
Yeah, under normal circumstances, you would just have put the test. I would just put the test cube on, but obviously we're not putting the test cube on because this doesn't come with a test cube on it. So, so I've had to splice just a calibration cube, and we'll see what it does. I mean, I don't even know if this start G code's right. So, so we might not get that far.
It might start printing upside down for you.
Anything could happen. So it does have a live Z adjust on here now, which is good because it never had one of those before. I mean, it's doing something. So it homed. So that's a good start, I guess. Felt unnecessary, didn't it?
I'm a bit scared, Mike, to ask what you're actually doing there.
I've got a knife that's got a catch on it, and the catch is too tight, so you can't close it. So I'm filing it down.
Right, well, I've no idea what that start G code is, but it's wrong. So we'll not be doing that. Right, I think the simplest thing and smartest thing to do is for now, let's just put on regular X2. I'm just gonna leave the start and end G code as it is as stock because we have actually done a mesh level as that's a toasty bed. We have actually done a bed level as part of the and saved that to the EEPROM. So theoretically, this should already be kind of level, I think. Very hot bed though. Very. I can't explain to you how hot.
It's 80 degrees, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 80 degrees. Yeah, it's hot. That's what I'm saying. It's a hot bed.
So I'm just looking on their website. Actually, there's 2 versions of this.
Yes, I saw that. I think one of them's just they just want it to be the first thing you see when you log on. So I think one's like an ad. They both go to the same page.
Yeah, they've got one's named newest version, and then the other one's called new version. And genius.
So we'll try that again and see what that does.
They've got 2 versions of the Genius as well. One with ABL and one with direct drive.
Well, all the Geniuses are direct drive, so that's just the way they're labeling them for whatever reason.
Very strange.
I don't think I've ever seen a Chinese manufacturer's website that has actually been easy to navigate or made material sense. It's very, very frustrating.
Well, that's it. If you're looking like on the Creality ones, you know, for like the firmware updates.
Yeah.
If you're new to like printers, it's a nightmare to find. We've got about 3 different sites. It just complicates things.
So we was talking today, me and James. Is anyone going to the TCT show this year?
Well, we're going.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know we're going. I was wondering if anyone else was going.
Where is it?
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
The NEC.
Ooh. It's about 2 hours away. It's not too bad.
We're going there because we're going to do a lot of filming. We're going to do a lot of interviews and that on a lot of the stands and new printers and stuff like that.
What date's that then?
28th to the 30th of September.
I will check my driver's diary. The wife.
Right, that isn't working either, which is great. Right, so I need to figure out how the hell you're supposed to set the Z offset properly, because it certainly seems like you can't. So home it first. Right, so what I'm going to do is there's a setting here to change your Z0.
So you burnt your hand on the bed, and there's the warning for it.
Yeah.
Well, it pumped up to 80 degrees, didn't it?
It hurts, doesn't it, when you do that?
Well,
We've all been there.
I've been trying to tune that Goofoo ABS profile the last couple of days. When you touch the bed on that, it's on 110.
Yeah, it's not.
It's carbon fibre and all, so it just takes all the heat like it. Even when a print's finished, you think, oh, print's finished. It could have finished like 10 minutes ago. You go in there, you go to pick it up, and everything is like boiling hot.
Yeah. It leaves you nice
as well, so it just doesn't escape the heat.
Just having a little perusal of some of the other places I might be able to get this initial G code from.
3D Nerd did it, didn't he, the other day? So I'm not quite sure what he did.
I should imagine what he did was get it on the SD card.
More than likely.
And I just didn't. Because the insinuation here is that you just need to add a G29 command, which is probe. Which, if that's true, it should just do G28 and then G29, and then you're away. going to say that's now printing.
My two young lads are playing FIFA on the Xbox, and it's like there's a football match in my house.
That level of noise.
Yeah. And the worst thing is the door's shut as well to the conservatory.
There is an important football match on now.
Oh, Europa Super Cup.
Super Cup.
Oh no, I can't believe the season actually starts this weekend.
We're starting today for us.
No.
It's a good sign that we're 20 minutes in and Chelsea got 80% of possession.
So the issue at the moment definitely seems to be that it doesn't like where its Z offset is. So let me stick that G29 command in Cura and see what it does.
So are you over here in September, Daniel? Makers Hub.
There you go. Cleo said he thinks 3D Nerd used Prusa Slicer with the stock X1 profile from what he watched.
Okay.
Surely you'd still need to put the...
Well, I've put the G29 command in, so in theory that should do a little mesh level now, I think. But that, to be clear, I put that in because the Wagster mod tells you to do that when you convert an X1 to that. It literally says all you need to do is put that in. Interesting. Well, we'll see what it does this time around then. Never simple, never easy. To be fair, this is a lot closer than we got with the Goofy printer, or with the Fuku printer, sorry. Because that Fuku just didn't work. All right, so that's it doing the G28 command, and then in theory, it should now go and do a bed probe. Let's find out if it does. It does.
So it wouldn't be hard for them really just to put in the manual, just put a G29 code in your slicer.
It really would be really easy. Actually,
that I wouldn't even class that as an entire sentence.
No. You'd probably find, non-fam, that what Joel did was he put a G29 command in. Because it would appear that upon doing that, I now have a mesh level going.
It's crazy how different companies, the bed leveling moves in different ways.
What, as in it does its mesh differently?
Yeah, so like my Smart starts at the front on the left-hand side if you're facing it and then goes backwards. Yours has gone left to right. Well,
my BLV cube goes left to right, forwards to backwards. But when you're leveling the Goofoo, that goes right to left, backwards to forwards.
Yeah, that is weird. I wouldn't have expected the code to have been any different. Surely it's just a command is a command. They must have defined that differently in the firmware, I guess.
I guess someone sat there at the office and thought, do you know what? We're going to do it this way. We're going to be different.
Well, it's like that FAM 260 printer I've got, where someone in the office decided what we're going to do is home it with the bed all the way at the back and the extruder all the way at the top and to the right. Because what we're going to do
Yeah,
is just going to make you wait.
That guy was a sociopath, though.
Just going to make you wait the longest we can to do anything.
Yeah, especially if you've got filament coming out of the nozzle at the time, working its way down as well.
The only thing it is good for is if you want to change filaments, it obviously moves the extruder right out of the way of everything for you to change filaments.
I might get stuck over there. So, Cleo, I'll be honest and say I don't know the answer. I think, yes, it does need to do a level before it does the print. Now, I was under the impression the whole purpose of the exercise that I performed a minute ago, where it does a mesh and then you save that, should, in theory, mean that it doesn't need to do that.
But if you've got a G29 code, it's going to do it every time.
But if you've got a G29 code, it does it every single time. Now, that is nowhere near. So what's annoying on that one is it seems to be... All right, so why is that first layer doing that? So it's doing the skirt properly, but then it's jumping up to do the just having a look.
Yeah, if you come over and make us up, we can show you how poorly some of the shows, like our shows, are done over here compared to over there.
Because that first layer went down really nice. But the first layer of the skirt went down really nicely. So, okay, so let's just see if we take the skirt off altogether and we don't run a skirt. Finally.
For anyone who's interested, Chelsea are winning 1-0.
Great. Now we've got to pay a lot of royalties to Sky. Thanks for that. Or BT, whoever hosts it now.
On Sky, so.
Oh. Is it like BT Sports or someone?
I don't know if it's on BT Sport. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, they've spent some money, haven't they, by the looks of it, on Lukaku?
95 million, I think.
Yeah. Good player.
I'd be angry if anybody I knew spent £95 million on anything.
But when you've got billions, £95 million ain't really that much.
It would still bother me. I'd still miss it.
Abramovich probably just put his hand in his pocket and had it in notes.
It's like you losing a tenner.
Yeah.
And I'm angry about that when it happens.
It's literally the equivalent. But at least if you lose a tenner, you just lose it. He bought something for a tenner.
Well, I disagree that he should be allowed to be honest. I don't see bed clips. How's the bed held down? So the answer to that is that the glass is integral. So there is just there is a silicone sheet that is on the bottom of the glass, and then that is what screws down. So there is no aluminium plate. Effectively, the silicone sheet is just glued to the underneath of the glass. But I'll definitely nail the G29 commands. It's that's not the problem here. He is taller, but I'm older and shrinking with age.
And also, Matt, I lost a tenner when I gave you that longer for free.
I think you lost more than a tenner on that. I lost money when I gave him the stickers.
Yeah. And a mug.
And a mug as well.
You've literally cleaned us out, Matt, and you still want more.
Disgusting. So the only person who's left to get something from our competition is Makers Hub. And I have made it very clear that the only way I'm going to give Makers Hub his T-shirt is if he gives me the T-shirt sizes of all of his children and his wife, and I get a picture of all of them wearing Honey Badger T-shirts in Disney.
Oh, that would be...
Yeah.
That's the only... I said literally, that's the only way he's going to get it.
And he's also got to come over and collect them.
Yeah, and he's got to come over here and collect them. I'm not paying postage.
I'll tell you, I've got some of your stickers. So we're off to Knowsley Safari Park in a couple of weeks. So I'll try and get a picture of an animal with the car.
With a Honey Badger sticker on it. I reckon they'll frown upon that, mate, to be honest.
Well, after the conversation James had with my kids about what a honey badger does to a lion,
yeah,
I'm sure they'll be willing to try it out.
It's true, though.
It's true.
I actually found out a couple of days ago, and all there is an MMA fighter whose name is Mike the Honey Badger something. Thought he was going to be excellent. Turns out he's quite crap.
Does he only go for the balls? Is that what it is?
He doesn't go for the balls. If he did, he may have won a couple of his fights.
Or
he'd get disqualified for that, surely.
Yeah, you would be. But at least it looked like you were trying.
Yeah, fair play to him. Can't argue with that.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah, you need.
My baby brother is 7'2".
You need to get.
You're 6'6", and my baby brother is 7'2". Your poor mother.
Christ.
Like birthing two giants.
Must have bathed in manure. Jesus. Oh no. I think my eldest that's just been on, I think he's about 6'3", 6'4" now. I don't see him standing up that often, to be honest. He's a teenager, so.
Your mum is 5'4". Poor woman.
I bet she's lost height just from the birth.
I reckon she lost the will to live.
The fact that she had a second child after that as well that's mind-boggling. You must have been all arms and legs, looking like an horrible Mr. Tickle fetus. She must have had to try and staple you into the pram, just to hanging out the side. Oh. Right. So, first lesson is that didn't work.
I'll make us up as PM'd you to start an end code.
He's PM me, but the start and end code is wrong, so it's fine. I think the longer is a better print than the Homer Odysseus Pro. I would agree.
Yeah.
I would absolutely agree with that sentiment. All right, I'm very quickly going to go and grab some of my trusty hairspray because this is not sticking to the bed.
We made sure you won, Matt, because although the Odysseus is not a great printer, we know it's still better than the G-Tech.
You just took the words out of my mouth.
You were the only person that printer was a step up for.
There's 4 of us, 2 boys, 2 girls. The girls are 5'6", 5'5". You know, that is 6. Jesus.
I'd be interested to know, actually, what the Z steps are. There's 4 of us, 2 boys and a girl. The girls are 6'6" and 5'5". Dad is 6 foot. Good Lord.
That's all right, Matt, because you only know where James lives. I'm cool with that. I also know it took you almost an entire day just to get down here and get home again. So
that's very true. Yeah.
I know full well you're not going to do that either.
You'd have to convince Louise to do the journey again. And she's already said no once. So.
And I feel like she wouldn't do that journey just to throw some toilet paper at James's house.
Yeah.
And then Matt could
I'm going to be honest. You know how quickly, only a 390-mile round trip, you know how quickly that that moved going down on the Z? I'm tempted to believe that the Z steps are wrong. Because I don't think it should home the Z that quickly. And what it looks to me like it's doing is it's putting the first layer down right, and then it's overshooting to go up. There's definitely something wrong with that. So you guys won't be able to see, but like it's starting out fine, and then it's just literally going, and like the nozzle is traveling way higher than the bed. And now, yeah, okay, all right, stop that. That is definitely not right. Like you can literally see. So, hold on. If I go here and try to focus that. Oh, 1 second. Right, you can see that it starts off at the bed and then it just goes like completely off of it. Starts out close and then it just goes, it literally goes up by like 1 millimeter.
What, on the same layer?
Yeah. So it's not the Z steps, it's got to be. So, okay. So let's do that bed level again. Let's do the mesh level again, but let's start with the corners, because that is not right. It's like the mesh is really
out.
Yeah, like the mesh is really screwed up. I didn't think a mesh could go out like that, to be honest, but right. 2 3 4
Matt's getting put in his place.
Needs to stop declaring his love for James and Mike. It's fair. Right, auto level. Let's try that whole jam again, shall we? Just seems to be moving so quickly on that Z. Okay. Let's just check something. Okay.
Got a bit of a wobble.
More than a bit. So where's my, if indeed we have an eccentric nut? Do we have one? Move that up. Go back to the.
But just think how boring it'd be if we got a printer and we put it together, turned it on, and it just printed.
And it just worked straight out of the box.
I'm sure they send us the difficult ones on purpose.
All right. First of all, let's do these grub screws. No. So there's some grub screws on the back here, which do not do up any more than they already are. So that isn't them. Where's my Allen keys? Just never ends, does it? It's just never. Dream of the day that someone sends us a machine that isn't like broken.
So they're saying on the website that they're in stock, but due to virus issues, it may be the end of August or mid-September before they get them out.
Virus issue? Oh, COVID.
Yeah, obviously COVID. Oh, what else could that have possibly meant?
I don't know. If anyone was going to get a printer with a virus, it would be us.
Yeah. I'm just tightening everything that I can find, really.
What's the difference between bird flu and swine flu?
This feels like it's going to be offensive, but go on.
One you have to have treatment for, and the other one you have to have ointment.
Now, you see, Carl, when you laugh at that kind of stuff, that just encourages him, doesn't it?
To be honest, it's something my kids will come out with.
You're encouraging that behaviour.
I'll try not to laugh next time. So.
I've got a specific issue with you laughing. Just laugh at the funny ones. Otherwise, he thinks stuff like that's okay. Yeah, Paul, I agree. I've typed, so there aren't eccentric nuts on these, but they've got grub screws on them, which I assume move the plate closer to the. They move the plate closer to the z-axis. So I'm just, God help me, I'm actually reading the manual.
It looks like on the website it's got a picture of anti-backlash on these screws.
Yeah, they aren't really anti-backlash. Well, sorry, they are anti-backlash. That's not true. But let's see what that one does now. Now that I've tightened those things up.
It's intelligent automatic bed leveling.
Well, I've terrible news.
They've called it the Matrix Automatic Bed Leveling.
Well, it's mesh leveling, but fine. In so much as what this is doing right now is creating a mesh. Not secured to the base. No, it is. That's the desk moving. I cranked down on them pretty hard. I'd be surprised if they weren't, if that was actually like. I mean, we can have a.
I like the screen on it though. You know, that angle's quite nice.
What, this one? Yeah.
Yeah, 45-degree one.
Hold on. So let's just.
Although
I'm
they've
not
called,
I'm not one to ignore people's comments, so let's see if we
called
can't.
it a patented coupler instead of anti-backlash.
Don't want to do them too tight because you strip that or snap the head.
Well, if it snaps, it's Paul's fault. He was clear.
That's tight.
There. I'm getting concerned about how because
I'm getting concerned with how long it's took to print.
It's taking him a while, to be fair. He is doing it massive though.
Well, I'm going to have a full scan on Saturday of myself.
Oh, that's yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking about your knee for a second.
No,
Is that to sell models? Is that to sell your model online?
Well, I'm going to print. Well, I had one done a few years ago, but lost the file.
Yeah, we're not very organised on our drive, to be fair. I'm getting concerned with that.
Make the screen big.
Make my screen big.
Mine.
Oh, your screen.
G-Tech work out of the box with only bed leveling.
Trying it. Yeah, that's little Mike. Trying to get it to focus.
Even the cameras don't work.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. I like the fact he's wearing a little watch.
Yeah. Obviously.
And the tattoos.
Yeah, I painted them. But I'm going to have another scan done on Saturday because I'm going to print a big little mic.
Like a metre tall, didn't you?
Yeah, I want to do it like a metre tall so it can stand next to me. But then what I'm going to do is print a little Iron Man helmet so I can wear that as well.
Obviously.
Why wouldn't you?
Right, let's try that again. So basically, normally with these, you have an eccentric nut this side. And then you have your two rollers this side. Well, this still has two rollers this side, but instead of having an eccentric nut, it feels like the grub screw actually pushes a plate that pushes the thing closer to the inside screw closer to the extrusion. It's a really strange way of doing it. I don't really know why they redesigned it from an eccentric nut that works on literally thousands of machines.
Half time on the football for anyone who's interested.
Who scored?
ZH.
It's Abrams leaving, isn't it?
27 minutes.
Yeah, you've sold. Is it Abrams or?
I see something that apparently was going. I don't know if it's been done yet. Is it?
Was it about 30 million?
Was it Southampton? Was it?
No, isn't it? Hasn't he gone to Roma? Something like that.
No, it is. It's Roma because
Okay.
Mourinho's Roma, isn't he?
Yeah.
Let's see what it does.
I've now got to order PSG kits with Messi on the back now. After getting my
Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice and expensive.
my 10-year-old son the Barca new kits with Messi on the back. So I might send him the bill actually, but.
It seems to be doing better now. Yeah, much better. Okay, so it was obvious. So the issue was that there is an eccentric nut on the bottom of the tool head that seems to have been a little bit loose, and those grub screws that sit on the outside there, they would also appear to have been a little bit loose. It's worth noting that had I read the instructions, it might have actually said in there to do those up, but I don't really think we should focus on that. Not really. I don't think it's useful pointing fingers at people. But I blame Carl.
Well, we've just spent an half hour having a nice chat.
Well, to be honest, we'll never know if it's in the manual.
Well, anyone who buys one will see it. And they'll be like, why didn't he just do that to begin with?
You're problem solving for people. That's what it is.
So is it all metal? So the throat is all metal on this, and the extruder is all metal, but the idler arm is not. So the idler arm is still plastic, which doesn't affect printing temperatures or anything like that. But I'm not going to lie, that is going to probably break at some point.
What nozzle is it? Is it like the volcano?
It's a
one?
0.4 brass. So it's a volcano nozzle. Oh, funny. He wants me to take a photo of him in bed with a printer.
Oh,
Well, this
please
is
don't
taking
even
a
post
turn,
that
Louise.
on.
That's a real red flag, Louise. I'm not going to lie to you.
That's going to be a screensaver on his phone.
Yeah. You're going to want to keep an eye on that.
Especially if he's got a box of tissues and some lotion.
Make sure it's not plugged in.
Yeah. It puts the lotion on the skin, or else it gets the hose again.
I just imagine having to lower him down some lotion in a basket.
Or squirt it down a PFTE tube.
Just load up a PFTE tube with it and then blow and just splatter it at him.
Yeah.
He's going to have these on TikTok soon, isn't he? This fetish of his.
Well, no, the frame isn't technically all metal because if we go back here, this crossbar is plastic. Don't forget to clean the bed.
Is that from experience, non-fan?
But then a sticky bed might help with his G-Tech.
It helps with adhesion, but he's definitely going to get more than a little bit of warping out of that. Yeah, so the frame itself is all metal, but the axis at the top is metal. Right, so it seems to now be happily printing away the calibration cube.
I've got to say as well, your screwdriver set actually matches the X2 as well.
Yes, it does. That's why I bought it. It's my Sidewinder branded. It's my Sidewinder brand. So it's just the top and gantry. Sorry, what do you mean? Just the top and gantry? Sorry, I think Mike coughed. Okay. So the X-axis at the top is plastic. Everything else is still all metal. Yeah. There's plastic covers, but these parts here, these are metal. Yeah, they're metal. So again, guys, just to go over what the improvements are on this, we've got an auto bed leveling sensor that once you figure out the G code actually works. We've got retention clips on both of these flat ribbon cables now, which we didn't have. The build volume is 300 by 300 by 400, and they have fixed the cable strain relief issue as well. It's a 32-bit mainboard now, so if you want to flash firmware, you don't have to unplug the TFT anymore like you used to have to. The mainboard, it looks very similar to a MKS Robin Nano, but it is branded as an artillery Ruby board. So I don't think it is a Nano board, but it is. It looks fairly similar. There are 2208 drivers or 2209s. 1 second. They are silent drivers, if that helps. Yeah, it doesn't say on the website which ones which drivers they are. They may be the DRV drivers that they had before. So if I remember rightly, they're DRV 8825s, I think, that were in the X1, and they're basically off-brand TMC drivers. They're not any different. The machine is quiet, to be fair to it. Like it's not loud.
We can't hear it.
Yeah, I mean I can hear the fan going, but that's it, which is pretty standard for these sorts of machines, to be honest with you.
Don't forget the additional wire you've got for free.
What, this one? That's
It's
my
just
spare
walking
wire.
around. Yeah.
Have a look in the instructions, see if it mentions that.
I genuinely have looked in the instructions this time, and there isn't anything in there. What's weird is it's not like they could be using the X1 bottoms because they've completely redesigned the.
So why did they just not include that? I don't understand.
I don't understand either. That there is, as far as I can tell, would be for a Z stop, but it doesn't have a Z stop because it's got an ABL.
And the time to actually make sure the hole's there for it to go through,
and to put the cable in. Like I'd understand if there was just a hole. You'd be like, all right, they've just not changed the sheet metal press, but there's actually a cable in it.
I dare you to put your tongue on it and see if you get a shock.
I'm not putting anything on it.
Invite Matt down. I'm sure he'd do it for you.
Yeah, I'm sure Matt would. And then I'd have to get rid of the machine. Because I have a rule. If Mike goes to bed with something, I don't let it in my house anymore. Yeah. No, there's nothing in here as to what that would possibly be for.
That's why we always have new printers sent to James's house, because I tend to rub things on them first when they come to mine.
Hey, man, you all right? Hey, Len, mate, repeat. How you doing? Yeah, so we've got another 10 minutes or so, I would have said, and this cube will be done. And at the moment, it's actually looking pretty good. It's printing at 60 millimeters a second, so I'm not like stretching it. Sure, Joel said that it's for an add-on to the printer in the future. Really? So the only thing I could assume that would be an add-on that you could use that for would be like an LED bar that went up the top. I can't think of anything else that you would add on after the fact that would plug into that part underneath the bed. Like I literally can't think of anything else that you would put in there.
Very strange.
It just seems like a really odd. Yeah, it just seems like a really odd thing to leave in. Like it can't be an oversight. It can't be. And
No.
actually, now I think about it, the x-axis, the Z end stop, if I remember rightly, is actually this side in the X1. So that is deliberate.
It'd be interesting.
That is deliberate.
You could be right, Cleo. LED bar, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's got to be an LED bar.
Is it the Z stop?
It's what? Sorry.
It is on that side. The Z stop.
It is on that side. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, as you say, Cleo, the only thing I can think of is that it would be an LED bar.
Unless
But-
it's got an LED on the hot end or something.
There is an LED on the hot end, but the LED is already on the hot end.
There you go then.
You can see the little light dancing about here. that is an LED on the hot end. So the only thing I can assume is an LED bar that would. I mean, I guess it's possible that an LED bar could sort of press fit into the underside of this. There's like a grid pattern underneath it. So it's possible that something could go into that.
We need to speak to them and find out what it's actually for.
Yeah. I can't really think of what else you would add to a printer after the fact that wouldn't be to do with the bed and wouldn't be to do with the tool head. Can only be a light. Surely. Anyway. I'll ask Artillery, see if they say what it'll be. So we've got another sort of, yeah, probably another 10 minutes. It's about 40% of the way through. Fans. So I wouldn't have said fans, and I wouldn't have said fans because the only fan that could blow onto would be directly onto the bed. Like a cooling fan for the bed. And why would you do that? And you would never be cooling the same spot either because the bed moves backwards and forwards.
You'd just be cooling the edge.
I see no value in that. It's only a 4-pin. Sorry, it's only a 3-pin. So it can't even be something like a Raspberry Pi interface or something like that.
Or a laser.
A Raspberry Pi would need a UART, and a UART needs like 6.
Maybe a laser attachment. It could be.
But that'd be on a tool head, wouldn't it? And you'd supply everything through the same flat ribbon cable that you would do for the regular tool head. What would you have on a laser that came all the way down here and
Nothing surprises me anymore.
Unless it's in case you want to remove the sensor and put a Z-stop on it.
But there's nothing on the screen, certainly, that would let you do that. And even if you were going to do that, hypothetically, let's say you were, surely the answer then is just to sell a Z end stop with a cable that's long enough to go into the main board. Why would you have a connector right there? Because you're going to have to flash the board anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just an odd thing to put in.
It's annoying because don't know what it's for.
Yeah, it's just an odd thing to put in. At the end of the day, if it's just so that they can, do something else in the future and there's a little power supply, I'd say fine. but it does seem a little strange. What if it's for a tool head change? But it's only a 3-pin out. And it's like it's a thin wire gauge, a part removal system. But again, it would have to be something that mounted on the side of this machine that allowed it to then, do like a sweep motion over the front? As I say, it's just weird. I don't know that it's big enough really for any of that stuff. And it's certainly not like it's only like a 26 to a 28 wire gauge or something like that. Like it's thin wire. It couldn't carry any material voltage.
Unless they sent you a review on, and maybe the ones that are going to be sent out for people that are buying them.
That's possible. It is possible that I don't know. I don't know anybody who has bought one yet and received it. I don't even know how many it says on here they've sold 37 of them, but whether or not people are actually receiving them yet, I don't know. Weird. Anyway,
just stick loads of things into it.
It's amazing how often that seems to be your solution to problems, non-stick. If you can find it. Yeah, so we will do a full review video of this. So we'll be getting some proper models on it and things like that to really give it a proper going over. Again, fundamentally, the machine hasn't really changed that much. Okay, they've changed the main board, but there's nothing specifically wrong with the old main board. The main board previously wasn't a limitation; you just couldn't flash the firmware without a bit of a faff. So a new board is great, but it's not a game changer. Changing that bed cable is fantastic. Because I've got two X1s. I've been through 5 beds. That is way too many beds for a regular person to be changing on a printer. I like the fact they've put these clamps in on the flat ribbon cables. I'll say that I never personally had an issue with mine, but it's great that it's got it. The auto bed leveling, I never did the Wagster mod. And the Wagster mod was relatively simple, really, but I just never bothered. So it's great that it's got an auto bed leveling sensor. It's not a game changer for me, but it's great that it's got one. They've just taken a really solid machine because the X1 is a really good machine, and they've made it better. They've refined it. But is this a completely new beast? No, I wouldn't say that it is. I wouldn't say that it's. I wouldn't say it's reinventing 3D printing. But it is a good machine. What connection is a bed cable fixed to soldering? That's an excellent question, and the answer is I don't know. Right. It is soldered, but it's a silicone bed at the bottom. The non-removable glass bed always annoyed me on the Genius and the Hornet. Yeah, and it's an odd choice that they've carried on doing it on this, if I'm willfully honest. Doesn't the bed hit the USB stick? No. Next question.
That would be a terrible design flaw.
It'd be a terrible design if every time a bed went forward. So Cleo mods, the bed is soldered on. But it's a silicone heat bed, so it's soldered on like in the middle somewhere, and then they go all the way. The cables go all the way out, and there's like a little channel at the back here. I don't know. I've got. Hold on. He moved me out of the way, so you can see there that there's a little channel where the bed cable sort of folds into. And the issue before, the bed cable came out of the other side, and over the course of about 6 months worth of sort of fairly big printing. I don't like the ports being on top either. Dust and garbage collectors. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get the point. Bearing in mind they've already slanted the screen here, it does feel like they could have maybe put them in this front slope bit. But, I mean, I've got 2 X1s, and I genuinely do love them. As I say, one of mine is has a very different dimensional accuracy to the other one. But I love my Sidewinders. They are my go-to machines until I got the Voron. And you know, and they print really well. And I'm under no illusions that this is going to print really well as well. I wouldn't say to somebody, you should still buy an X1, not an X2. But what I would say is that the X2 is not a brand new beast of a machine. You know, it's not reinvented 3D printing. It's not pushing the boundaries. It is checking a bunch of boxes off.
They've just made a good printer. Design. They've just made a good printer a bit better.
Yeah, they've made what was a good printer into a better printer. What was a 8 out of 10 is now probably a 9 out of 10. But tripods, I don't disagree with you. I have things that I would probably change as well. The fact that that's not turned into an all metal idler arm is disappointing, if I'm willfully honest. I don't particularly like the spool holder. I just don't like where it is. They've increased the amount of plastic on this, and I don't really like that. Other than that, though, if I was redesigning it,
but they have increased the plastic on the X-axis, whereas it wasn't previously there.
Oh. The short answer is no. So, because I can't move. Oh, there you go. If I move that out of the way, you could just see that the shine.
So it's all the blue the blue color plastic, or some of it?
Yeah. Except for these parts.
So
this part here, and the part that holds the and the plate that holds on the extruder, they're metal. But this, and this are all plastic. To be fair, that and that are just end caps, and that's
just end caps.
Yeah.
But
the left-hand side one's got the stepper motor, hasn't it, underneath? So
what? So the black part is metal.
The opposite
blue part
end
is plastic.
So the opposite end is the thingy board, isn't it? It's hiding.
Yeah, the other end is just hiding the it's just hiding the what's the name? It's just hiding the there's like a little breakout board that these two flat ribbon cables go into. So we're at like 85%. So I'll be able to show you the print in a second, Cleomods. Something I've just noticed. Right, hold on. Let me see if I can show. So here we go. All right. Let's zoom right in. So as you can see here, this is the hole for the USB cable. And right here, behind the grill, that's the USB port. So this is the hole, and this here is the port. Hole, port, port, hole. So I hope you don't need to connect to this machine at any point, because you can't.
Get your grinder out.
The board's not loose. Oh no, the board is loose. Look at that.
Oh,
that's bad juju. I'll have to open this up. I'll have to open this up after the review, and or after this live stream. I'll have to open up the bottom, and in fact, nuts to it. We'll wait for this to finish, and then we'll open up the bottom and we'll take a look at it. We're at 90%, so we should be doing the top layers in a second. It has a lot more plastic than the X1 did, for sure. So the X1 didn't have this end cap, and it didn't have the cap on the other side, but that wasn't because they were metal.
They just didn't have them.
They just didn't have them.
Like that little breakout
This
board.
cover
just
here
exposed.
was just black and plastic.
Yeah.
So the only bit of plastic they've actually added, where they've taken metal away, is that X beam at the top. Everything else is just extra bits of plastic they've put on. It's doing the top layers now. 95. Oh no, the void sticker. The problem is at this point, I don't even think 3D printer companies take back machines from me anyway. So I'm pretty sure as soon as they see my name on it, they go, yeah, no, you've definitely touched this, mate. But we know you've touched it. So we're not giving you it. We're not taking it back.
Just check the video where we didn't use any of the instructions.
Yeah, there's literally a video of me breaking it. All right, come on, 97. But that board looks like it's completely loose to me. So either a screw has come out in transit somewhere, or it's just not fixed down.
They have sort of mirrored the style tripod because the tool head on this and the Genius Pro are now the same.
Yeah. Right. Oh, okay. Right. So let's zoom in on this. Here we go. So bear in mind, guys, this isn't calibrated yet. So I've done this is just a stock profile that I've got. I've not done any E-steps or anything else. But to be fair, it's not horrendous.
So a little bit of under extrusion, is it?
Yeah, there's a random line of over extrusion in that.
Looks like there's a bit of under extrusion at the bottom.
And then a bit of under extrusion everywhere else. But to be fair, for a printer that's just out of the box, like that's not horrendous. So in true there we go. In true Honey Badger style, let's unplug
let's void our warranty on the first
Let's
day.
void our warranty.
In the first hour.
The spool falls right off it if you tip it over. Right. Let's have a look. Oh, wrong screwdriver. Still wrong screwdriver.
That is fair, Paul. They heard you keep losing screws, so they took them out beforehand.
Yeah, maybe. They figured he's going to be opening it anyway. Why duplicate the effort?
It's going to drop them and lose them, so just don't put them in.
There we go. Right. All right, let's get. Get these out. You mean the spool doesn't defy gravity? No, it doesn't. I guess I should submit that as a bug report. Cool. Yep. So that's just not attached at all then. That's just
Floppy
that's
board.
a floppy that's a floppy one. So what's also irritating is is right, hold on. So what?
As the double-sided sticky tape come off.
So no, they can't have done that, surely. No one's that insane.
I don't know.
So okay, so I don't know.
People make printers that fold in half.
It's a review unit. Yeah, it is a review unit, and we don't have to send this on to anybody else afterwards. So hold on, there we go. Right. So a couple of things. So one, they've gone mad with the hot glue gun on this, so I can't actually remove this panel all the way. There's no place to screw it on because unless I'm mistaken, they've hot glued this board. There's this plate that's on it. They've hot glued the plate to the machine. If I just pull this up a little bit. So you can see there are mounting points here, but there's no screws in this case. So if you want this to go in where I assume it is supposed to, which is right there, there's literally no way on the top or underneath to screw that in. It's just they've literally put hot glue over where you would put the screw through. So there's a hole in the back of this, and there's a hole in the board, but there's no screw, and there's a mounting point, but there's no screw because what they've literally done is they've pushed hot glue in to glue this in place, to glue this into the mounting point.
Someone had a bad day in work then, didn't they?
Well, it looks like you're getting your little drill out tomorrow then.
So, my God. Like, I've never seen that. I've never seen that.
I don't know. I've done some dodgy things on a Friday afternoon.
I also can't take this panel off. Oh, no, I can. All right, fine, because that glue wasn't actually glued to that, so that's good.
Right, I'll be back in 2 secs. I just need to go.
Yeah, no worries. There's
house.
literally no way for you to be able to screw it in because right now, see if I can actually zoom in on this. Right. So if we zoom in, like that, right? This then comes off. Oh, what? You just push it on? Yeah, you just literally push it into the glue. That's what holds that on. And now the board's on. Oh no! Oh, that's not good. Like, there's even holes for it as well. Because literally you just wiggle that and then it completely comes off. But you can see, look, this is the mounting point. And they've literally just, there's no screw in there. but there's a mounting point back here. There's even got a cutout here so that you can screw it. So it's not like you can't reach the screw. Wow. I'm honestly a little bit speechless from that. Like I've never seen I've never seen that. Wonder if they stripped the threads and just hot glued it. But I'll tell you in a second, because no, nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with them. I would actually say, so this one screw came out of one of these packets. I'd actually go so far as to say that these are the screws that you would screw the main board in with.
Yeah, because there's nothing else that you've put in.
No. So, like, if you wanted to... Hold on. Just seeing if I can line this up. Come on. All right, well, I'm starting to figure out why they didn't bother.
Gave up.
How many screw holes are the board versus the 4? 4 screw holes, 4 chassis holes. I'm actually, like, I can't believe that that's how that's what they've done with that they've just literally glued over them. Well, anyway, I can't get that in. But, oh, it does actually look like, hold on. Where's my phone? So there's 4 locating points, and this is the only one that has a hole. So I'm gonna have to get my drill out tomorrow, basically. So yeah, so they've done it on purpose. So this one down here, this one down here is actually a screw hole. These 4 points here are rounded pinheads that literally are locating pins, and the only one that is an actual screw hole is the one down here, and everything else, I guess, is just meant to hold that in place. So this whole main board is held onto the frame with literally 1 screw, and then they glue the other 4 locator pins in place, which would be fine if they'd screwed that one screw in. But All right. Okay. Well, I'll have to get my little drill out tomorrow and fix that. And as well, right where it is, right where that particular one is like a really awkward space because it's like right in there. So getting that bit of glue out is really quite awkward. Come on. I've got to be so careful not to damage the board. Yeah, what I'm going to have to do is tomorrow, I'm going to have to get a little drill and just literally drill out the hot glue that's there, because you need that in there to stop the other pins from detaching. But my God, for the sake of 3 screws, like, we're talking about mounting a main board to something that moves quite violently. So the steppers are also glued into place. Yeah. Oh, they're DRVs. Yeah, they're the DRV 8825s or whatever they were. Hold on. They are DRV 8825s. I can't remember. They are yeah, 8825s. Yeah. They're the off-brand TMC drivers, effectively. Yeah, we're gonna have to resolve that for sure. So definitely that screw, that one screw should have been screwed in. That's a shame. Anyway, having a look at everything else. Everything else looks nice and clean, to be honest. No SSR in here anymore, I'll note.
Yeah, I've just noticed that.
So on the Sidewinder X1, the silicone heated bed is mains powered. So to do that, you have an SSR in here that sort of protects your circuit. There isn't an SSR in this one. The bed's still, unless they've built it into whatever this thing is, like built in a big MOSFET or something. Big void sticker now. But yeah, I mean, it looks nice. It's not done badly at all. It's done quite nicely. The wiring's done nicely. It's just a real shame about that. That's going to be something that we're going to have to.
Yeah, where does that while it's open, that wire it's on the top, where does it lead to?
So this side. So it looks like it plugs directly into the board. Because it comes in here, goes into this. Yeah, it looks like it comes directly into the board, but it's not got any specific. No, sorry, it is plugged into the Z limit switch. Does the screw go into one mounting point without the board? Wondering if that screw mount is stripped. No, so this screw here, this does go into this. It does screw in. and it unscrews perfectly well. The issue, so the difference with these, there's 3 other mounting points. I'm not going to be able to show you on the camera because it's just not going to be good enough to pick them up, I don't think. But if I can get the torch on it, I don't know if you can see. Right, this here, so you can see here, this is actually a screw hole, but this isn't. It's a complete. It's not a stripped hole or anything. That you can't screw a screw into that. They've put glue on all 4, but one would assume that you put. I mean, again, not a great way to do it, but the insinuation is that these 3 are glued into place, and then this one here is the screw that holds it all together, kind of thing. But with this one, they have quite clearly they've managed to glue over even the extra one. So I can't.
That's the wrong one you're peeling off.
Oh, yeah. This one.
Have you got a nozzle needle to hand? That might just move it a little bit.
Well, I think I've gotten through it. So the question is will that now go through? Just. Come on. There we go. I've officially done more work on this than artillery have. Well, it's in there now. I want to point out that the screw that I just did up was a screw that was not loose. It was in a separate sealed bag.
It's crazy, that.
It's where I turn it back on and find out that the reason they didn't do it is no, the upper right, you can't do any of the other ones. All 3 of them, all 3 of the other, that's the only one that's actually got a that's the only one that's actually got a hole in the mounting point. All the others don't actually have holes for screws. So you can definitely only fit one. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, it's a new product. I guess they're bound to have a few quality control issues for the first batch. If that's the only issue that's with this, then like I can live with that, to be honest. You know, that wasn't exactly all right. It was a bit fiddly and annoying that I had to do it, but it's not a. I mean, as we've just seen, the machine still works even with that there. Right. Yeah, that stays on there. So as I say, an annoying thing that I've had to do, but I can live with it if that's the only issue the machine ever has. That I had to do that with it. It's not world ending, I would say. Right. I suppose I better just make sure that it still turns back on. Otherwise, this would be a really embarrassing stream when it comes to doing the review. It still turns on. And it still has temperature readouts. So it's fine. I'm back for a while. Did I miss anything? Yeah, a little bit. So basically, you can watch the video back if you want. But basically, we had an issue where one of the only screw that mounts the main board to the chassis wasn't attached, which isn't ideal. Right, okay, guys, I'm going to call the stream there. Thanks very much for staying with us. Two and a bit hours. So that was a bit of a slog for us, but thank you very much for staying all that time. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not already, and keep an eye out on the channel, because in the next week or so we'll have a full review of the Sidewinder X2 with some print results and things like that as well. So thanks very much for joining us, guys. Speak to you all very soon.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
See you later.